All right. Ooh, that's not good. So I've been in touch with the support line at Pivot, and the problem is a problem. It's not like something I'm doing weird. They're gonna talk to the developers and try to get it fixed, but I think the standard advice is going to be to not submit your pivot. Like when you're done with the lab, there's an option to submit it. Don't do that until we've talked about it in class, because there'll often be a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, and then that might cause you to go in and make revisions to your lab. So don't submit it, because once you submit it, I have to unlock it before you can revise it. Okay? I don't know if that makes sense or not, but the other thing, Pivot didn't have due dates in it last year. The due dates were always in Canvas. And so I've got to get my head around that. But they've really complicated the process for allowing you to make revisions after you submitted it. So I'm going to go through and do something here in a second to make that happen, but it's a little awkward. Okay, so let's talk about it a little bit. Here's a graph I saw from somebody. This is their graph of number of bulbs versus distance from the reference light in centimeters. And it's not bad, but the only curve fit that we're going to use this year in Pivot should be the linear one. Only ever use linear curve fit. My rationale for that is that on the exam, you're not going to have Pivot, so we have to know how to linearize this ourselves, turn it into a y equals mx plus b. Okay? So here's a couple of problems, and I'll talk about how we can kind of deal with these. This is somebody's raw graph. This is the default view. And if you look at it, it looks like that. So then when I go over into Canvas, I'm going to choose this option. It looks just like the inverse option. So I think I included this note in the video, but maybe I didn't, that I sent out on Friday. The other habit that we need to get into, because if you look at the bottom here, that's 20, that's 25. So we're actually kind of over to the right from the vertical axis. So the thing that we do always want to do here is, I got to look at what the verbiage is. Let's see. It says include origin. That's what I want. Thank you. I'll just take a picture of it. Okay, so right here, we always want to, this would be not including it. We want to include the origin. Ooh. And if we do that, trying to think, do I not have, oh, come on, Mr. Harding. Ah, there we go. If we include the origin, that's going to make it look like this. Here's the origin. There's 20. So there's this big gap. And now, if you go back and look at the linearization page, you can kind of see the difference between inverse and inverse square. Okay? Inverse square, there's kind of this big gap here. So that's kind of your key indicator that you're dealing with an inverse square relationship, is it's shifted to the right, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All right? If you think it's inverse, that's what my friend has here. Now, there's a couple of problems with this one. The first thing I want to point out, we got to be careful with our labeling of columns, because those both have the same label, number of small bulbs. Anytime you do a column formula, whatever your column formula is, that's what should go here. So we want to call this 1 over number of bulbs. Okay? Ultimately, mathematically, it doesn't make a difference which variable is on which axis. For physics purposes, I don't prefer this way, but I can still work with it. Okay? This is their linearization. So it's actually distance versus 1 over number of bulbs. And they have put the linear fit on it. So to them, it looks like it's a line. Now, again, here's a tell. This is a thing you want to look out for. The data points at the beginning and end are on that side of the OK fit line. The data points in the middle are generally on the other side. That kind of makes it look like a curve. And oh, by the way, look, that's 20 and that's 0.1. We're not seeing the origin here. So we got to do that thing where we include the origin. Now, if you look at this, 0, 0 is way down here. Okay? And I don't mean to like spoil it for you, but like, if I think there was a question that asked you to consider the meaning of the vertical intercept. I think it would hopefully make physics sense to you that the bigger the distance gets, the dimmer it gets. So it's hard because this relationship's upside down, but at a very small, what is this trying to say here? At a distance, okay, yeah. At a distance of 0, no, sorry, at a distance of 18, say. At a distance of 18, the number of bulbs is effectively infinity, yeah? 1 over infinity is basically 0. But then what happens is you go to a distance like less than that. If you're at a distance of 10, how do we, what the hell are negative bulbs? It's possible. I know, don't tell me. It's okay if you understand it, but I don't want to understand negative bulbs. It's going to hurt my head.
Validated, it's going to be perfectly normal.
No.
Great.
So the long story short is you need to put a little thought into what you expect your vertical intercept to be, and I think here a reasonable expectation would be 0. So that's another indication that distance versus 1 over bulb is not linear. This is effectively a side opening parabola. That's not the official name, but that's what I'm calling it. Okay? So what do I got? Okay, so this is the raw graph with the origin included. And again, raw graph with the origin included, you can see that gap. You can also see it's not linear, right? The raw graph. They put the linear fit on here. These 3 points and the last point are on one side of the line. And then all the data in the middle is on the other side of the line. Right now, that's a curve. Okay? So I'm going to put a little work in trying to get you able to get back into this activity. I think I've got a fix. But turns out it's not inverse. So the skills we got to take on board are making sure that we always include the origin so we can kind of distinguish between those things and make sure our graph is not linear. Okay? So can you get into it right now? You can get into it right now.
Yes.
I don't even understand that. Because on my end it says that you're all submitted and you should be in. You can't? Okay, cool. I'm with you. So I'll mess with it and see if I can get that working. While I'm doing that, we've got one last pretest thing to deal with. This one is scientific reasoning. And again, this will maybe help me do my best to support you in learning physics and kind of boost that reasoning level as much as possible with regard to science. So Boop. Boop. So let me get all 30 of these laid out here. So same deal as last week. Sheets are alphabetized. Different this week. It's only a 24 question quiz.
Only 24.
So it shouldn't take as long. Once you're done with this, you can just go back to working on the pivot revision. Although I did see some folks have it correct. So well done. Oh my god. Alright, so pop on over and grab your buble. Yeah, not soon.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, you'll know before you see this.
In May, before then.
Probably January.
Okay.
Yep.
Ready for the thing, get this one. Wait, can you reopen mine? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Can you remind me of your last name?
Chu, C-H-U.
Chu, you're Maya?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think mine's over there.
Oh, okay. What's up with
I
that?
changed.
You moved in here?
Yeah.
What's your name again? Is it an S or a Z? You said like Tasmanian devil, right?
Yeah.
Taz. All right, Taz. Let's just go with a blank. Oh, okay. So all the points are unselected right now. Click and drag over all these, and then it'll make them. There you go. Is there not one over here?
That's my name.
Oh yeah. I'll bring it. Give me a second. You want your sheet?
Oh, probably.
Tad? I'm gonna bring it. Alright, so here comes the booklet again. 24 questions, it'll go a little quicker. When you're done, what are you doing? You're working. Oh crap, I know what we need to do. Before we do this, we gotta go get books. Let's go see the booklet. Yeah.
We only have to carry it.
We'll find out. Book lady. Nope.
Is it an at-home thing?
It's an at-home thing.
Perfect.
Yep. Here you should have access to the e-text, and that'll be enough. All right. Figure out what I'm doing here. Go back to scores view. Grade by question.
Did you just run? Yeah. Very embarrassing. We're maxing out.
What is this even? Wait, wait, wait,
Cardio days are
no, I thought we were just gonna live. I didn't know we actually have to do cardio too.
We do a cardio walk. Oh, you did.
Actually,